So, a lot of people like to talk bad about rednecks. And I was thinking that I should probably start saying why it's a good thing to be redneck. So, I'd like to talk about why rednecks are good for the environment. Now, as you can see, I have a pot that I've made out of a 2-liter bottle in a previous video. And there's the funnel for it. That's probably going to end up getting recycled at a recycle center because I don't need more than 1 or 2 funnels. There's a pot, and the bottom here is the lid for a nut jar. I think it was cashews. Another thing that I've recycled is all of the roofing that I've put onto my little rabbit area. And these are my 4 young females. They're going to be getting bred here in a few months or so. These ones are a whole lot more friendly than their parents are. So I'm definitely going to be keeping these guys. They're a lot friendlier, a lot more playful. Now this piece of plywood right here, that's also recycled. That was out of a set of shelves in the corner of the garage that we took out. Now I saved those for a couple of months before I ended up using them for this. Well, there goes the cat. There's one on both sides. All of the wood for the 2 ends of this, that's all recycled. These 2 side pieces right here were once used to hold a pallet together. And the cross braces were taken out of a house. These little L brackets, I made those myself out of a piece of angle iron that was from a shelving unit that no longer served a purpose, so that got taken apart. Another thing that rednecks tend to do is we compost. We actually have several compost piles. Composting does a few things. It brings nutrients and minerals from previous crops back into the soil. Here's some blackberry that I cut out, and this is a pile of stuff mainly from the chicken coop, and the underside of it is seaweed that I went and collected. That stuff was all underneath the rabbits. Another thing that composting does is it locks carbon back into the soil. Everybody's worried about global warming, and a good way to stop global warming is to start locking carbon away. And the compost is used in gardens. These are raised beds because my area has a serious problem with gophers and ground squirrels that will burrow into gardens and farms to get at all of the nice juicy plants. It's the middle of winter right now, so there's nothing growing aside from weeds. And we use the compost in the garden beds to make our ground more fertile, and we end up sucking carbon out of the air. What you may not know is plants grow a good bit from the carbon that they absorb out of the air, generating oxygen. That's why gardeners tend to be happy. They get a little bit more oxygen than everybody else. But You see right there, we've got some wood ash from the wood burning stove inside, on top of some rabbit pellets. Also rabbit poo. And that will get turned in as well. And herbivores, like the rabbits, tend to, eat the green matter. You can mow your lawn and feed that straight to the rabbits so long as you don't, use any pesticides or herbicides on your lawn. Now the fence is here because we also have deer that, if given the chance, will go through and eat everything to the ground. But herbivores like rabbits will use some of the carbon to make themselves grow bigger, and the rest of the carbon and the other stuff that comes from the plants goes into their poo, which gets mixed into the soil as well. Brings me to my next point. We raise our own animals. I know it may seem a little weird that raising your own animals is good for the environment. It makes it so that you're not having huge farm plots that are generating a whole lot of greenhouse gases, mostly methane if it's cattle. Those large portions of greenhouse gases will go through and start eating away at the ozone. Ozone is the protective layer that, keeps us from becoming extra crispy. These chickens might just end up being a little extra crispy, but that's how I like it. Now these are all my roosters right here. I've let them out of their little segregation pen, let them walk around a little bit, but they're still separated from the hens because I don't want all of these boys harassing my girls too much, because they'll do that. We also keep the grounds fairly neatly trimmed, or at least our animals do. There's a nice little lawn growing there, and all that's because of chicken poo. If you give a chicken a nice big area to roam, they will go through and till and fertilize everything. I've gone through and overseeded this area with Timothy hay so that they'll have a little bit more to eat. But the Timothy hay also absorbs carbon, which helps with the whole global warming thing. And we do tend to drive big trucks, which don't help. But we use the big trucks to go pick up hay for our animals. And we do a lot. I have 3 acres that I'm going to be openly farming, and there's another 9 acres to run animals. Like the chicken run, we're going to be putting in an area back over there for pigs and goats. But that won't become entirely necessary until we've got pigs and goats. But those are the reasons that I can think of that rednecks end up helping out the environment. We do the organic gardening because that's a whole lot cheaper than anything using all the other fertilizers that you can buy at the store. We have some of the best fertilizer from our compost and our animal poo. And we take good care of the trees and the forest. We do cut them down. We do use firewood to heat the homes. But we can't be perfect. That and a lot of the trees that we end up cutting down are in the way or sick or dying, or like this big oak right there. That's entirely rotted out through the center. But I don't have a chainsaw big enough to take it down, so it gets to stay there until I can get my brother-in-law to come and cut it down for us. That's a very dangerous tree. But with all of the other trees that I'm planting and all of the other things that I'm going to be doing, I'm probably going to be pretty neutral on my carbon footprint. Helps out the environment, helps out the world, trying to keep us alive and breathing good, clean air. Alright, y'all have fun. Bye.